Okay, everybody, we are here and live with Miss Anhata.
Save Bob Ferris. Good evening,
She's got her
everybody.
Bob Ferris shirt.
I've got my Save Bob Ferris swag. I hear he's a righteous dude. Had to throw that in there. And because the sun's going down, I threw on my BFG. Let's shout out to Blown for Good, Mark and Claire. It's the Hail Xeno in back.
Oh, nice.
The volcano.
I need to get me some merch.
Merch madness. Everybody's got merch now. It's awesome. Nora's looks like neon glow sticks. It's so cute. Nora has like 4 pieces of merch, and she has this beautiful logo that looks like neon glow sticks. It's awesome.
Oh, that is awesome.
For anyone who doesn't know, you can get the Save Bob Ferris merch at the Blown for Good store. 4th wall.
Michelle's asking, what state are you in?
Oregon. No, sorry, Washington. Used to be in Oregon. We've been in Washington for the past few months, so we're in Washington State.
Nice. Oh, hello, Kat. How has your day been going?
It's been pretty quiet. Thursdays, my daughter wants to work on craft projects with me, so she's deconstructed a pair of pants that she wants to make because the fabric has started to fall apart. So we're figuring out how to make a pattern out of the old pants, cut the fabric out and start prepping it for sewing, etc. And realizing I don't have a bunch of the tools anymore. They're either in storage or I got rid of them and I haven't replaced them yet. So I need a steam iron and I need an ironing pad. You really can't sew without a steam iron or ironing pad.
Yeah.
Of some sort. So that was the main thing. I almost lost my dog yesterday. That was very exciting. I had him off leash on the beach and he took out running after a truck and the truck didn't stop. The truck kept going. So that was an adventure. He stopped chasing the truck eventually and was on his way back. So it all ended well. But yeah, that was a little more excitement than I needed. And of course, because I was on the beach, my husband couldn't get reception from my cell phone. I was trying to call
your
him.
Audio cut out.
Just now, can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, sometimes Starlink will drop. Like if a car drives past our Starlink, it'll stop. Can you hear me now? My mic is on. Comments, settings. I've got my mic volume turned all the way up.
I still can't hear you.
I've got my volume turned all the way up. Do you want me to go out and come back in?
Oh, can you, Michelle? You can hear both of us? Let's see. Let's see if I take off. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try the good old-fashioned earphones.
Well, for some reason, my headphones aren't even hooking up, even though it says they're connected.
I can hear now.
There you go.
I don't know what happened, but I can hear now.
All right. I wonder if I can see the chat.
Yeah. At least your dog is all good and well now, though.
Yes, he slept for a long time.
I bet. But it's good and exhausted after that. Right, Michelle? Like, Oh, and she dropped. She'll come back. Let's see.
Okay.
There we go.
Don't try to check the chat. I don't know how to get out of chat without leaving StreamYard. Sorry, I'll stop doing that.
Oh, no.
Sorry
It's fine.
about that.
It happens.
I'm going to turn the volume up a little.
No, I didn't have any gummies, Michelle.
Now my headphones are working. All right. So I was just listening to Liz and Vanessa. They were doing a mental health check-in. It started at 6 my time. They're both on Pacific time. So I was listening to them until about 20 minutes before I needed to go on. So they were talking about how they were going to be doing another chat-a-thon to raise money for the Save Bob Ferris Fund, which is cool.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did hear that there was going to be another chat-a-thon.
I don't know when they're planning on doing it. I don't know if Juliana's going to be able to help this time. They might need someone who knows how to do those things, but that's not me. I'm not good with that stuff. Electronic computer things. I think electronics actively dislike me, quite honestly.
It's okay. I just had like the worst 2 days because, I was in this new training, and
Yeah.
I failed my test the first time. Only by 2 freaking points. I was so mad, and I didn't get to retake my test until this evening. So not only did I fail it yesterday, it was like yesterday afternoon that I failed it. So then I had to wait all day, or all night last night, and all day today, and then I didn't get to retake my test until this evening.
That's not stressful at all.
No, not at all. And then
yeah,
I had to sit there and retake the test, and when I finally have to push finish and grade, I was just like, okay, I'm passing this time. And as soon as I pushed it and it said 88 on there, I was like, okay, I can deal with that because 80 is passing. And I was like, I'll deal with that. I'm good with 88.
That's not shabby.
And so
that is, yep. Well, good for you. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I was like, that's at least one less stress right there.
I should probably get a straw, but oh well. So something I've been thinking a lot about this week is like the Russell Brand thing blew up like right after the Danny Masterson letters. Ashton Kutcher blew up. Mm-hmm. Now everyone's talking about Russell Brand. He's the new flavor of the week. And I was listening to Alexa Nicholas from the Eat Predators channel, she was talking about how, from what she can see, there's a backlash against calling out predators now. The attitude is kind of like, enough already, okay? We can't all be predators. It's like, stop taking away all of our idols. It's like, stop, just accusing someone is enough to destroy their career. And like there's a really big dude bro pushback going on. People are saying everyone knew Russell Brand was a lad. You knew what was happening if you went up to his apartment. They're doing all that stuff. That was 20 years ago. He's a changed man. They're doing all of that. And Alexa's response was, what's it going to take for people to believe survivors? You come out with a documentary on Russell Brand with facts, with receipts, with physical evidence, with our kits from the hospital, and that's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to take? Trying him in the court of public opinion is not cool. I get it. Trying him in an actual court, it wouldn't matter. They would say that, that lies got him convicted. There's nothing you can do that would be enough to prove it to people who are personally, I believe, afraid of their skeletons coming out of the closet.
Right.
And people who did not participate in this behavior when they were teenagers and in their 20s, but watched other people do it and didn't say anything, they got guilty consciences too, babe.
Oh yeah, they're guilty by association, because
they know it.
Yeah.
All of the guys, every guy who's had a friend of his say, listen, your friend is creeping on me, and said, oh no, he's fine. He's a nice guy. And then she later comes back and said, he argued me. And they're like, well, why didn't you say something?
Right.
But nothing is good enough, because the culture, everything falls on the victim to get anything done. They have to push the boulder up the hill. Aaron talked about it on his channel. Yes, I think it was yesterday. He said that, like, it's all beholden to the victims to press the charges, to give interview after interview after interview, to give testimony in court, which is embarrassing and humiliating, and re-traumatizing and re-victimizing. They get attacked from every direction. In this case, Scientology is fair gaming them, hurting their pets. Just,
they get it from every direction, and it's
wrong. And it's like, you think they're doing this for the attention? They don't want that attention.
No.
They don't want to be having to testify in court. You're making them do that, and then you're saying you're doing it because you liked we made you do that. It's total, re-victimization.
Mm-hmm. That's why they went up as Jane Does for as long as they did.
Yeah.
They, what's the word? Autonomized, so that way they could stay silent as long as they could, because of the victim blaming and everything that's going to go on. That is
why we have, hence the whole Jane Doe thing.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like, when I was 16, I was sexually assaulted, and it wasn't even, like, in most people's eyes, they wouldn't think it's a big thing, because it wasn't like an actual, like, I wasn't actually raped or anything like that. But mind you, I was only 16, but this full-grown man who knows better, who's actually, mind you, on parole from prison. I was a dishwasher. He was a cook. We were at work, and I was bent over putting a big old stack of plates underneath the cabinet and putting them up. And with him being a dishwasher, he knew I was messing with the plates, and he knew what he was doing. As I was putting the plates up, he come up behind me and humped me. But humped me so hard that A, the plates fell, and B, grabbed my arms so hard that both my arms had bruises on them. And I
so
told
sorry.
him, I was like, dude, you gotta stop. I was like, that's not cool. And he was basically like, oh, I'm just playing around. And I'm like, no, that's not cool. You don't just go up to somebody and do that. And when I told my boss, the store owner, she sent me home. And then on top of that, we had to call the cops. And then the cops, do you know what the local cops did?
I'm afraid to ask.
Anhata, they called him. He should have been that night. He should have went back to prison that night because he's on parole.
So they called him and talked to him to get his side? Even though that's a parole violation.
He
and a crime.
Yeah, he should have went back to jail. Or he should have went back to prison.
And yeah.
He never did. I even went to the DA. We got pictures. My lawyer got pictures of everything, all the bruises, all of that. And I'll even call him out. The Wichita Falls County Police Department, or the DA, declined to prosecute my case, saying there wasn't enough evidence. I was like, bull crap. I'm a minor. So that was sexual misconduct with a minor.
Yep.
And I have evidence. There's bruises on my arms. There's a police file. There's her police report done. And y'all are declining to take my case when the man should be in jail. Next year, I was called to do jury duty. And one of the first questions they asked was, does anybody have anything against the DA? I raised my hand and I said, I sure do. If the DA is going to take my case, I'm not going to help them prosecute theirs. And they were like, hey, you're dismissed.
Yeah. That's what they always say. They say we wouldn't be able to get a conviction, so we can't expend the resources to try the case. They always say there's not enough evidence, or we wouldn't be able to get a conviction, or it's all circumstantial. There's no corroborating evidence. They say any and everything. Honestly, if they started prosecuting every case, it would clog up the court system and they'd be paralyzed. Our kits stacking up so deep in hospitals, they have to throw them away because they run out of storage. People are not willing to accept it's an epidemic. I mentioned last time I was on, we took a class for non-offending parents of child who'd been SA'd. One of the things they did was call childhood SA a hidden epidemic. No one wants to talk about it, but it happens at epidemic level proportions in every organized group. It doesn't matter if it's secular or religious. Anytime you have situations where predators can be alone with their prey, you're going to get it. And the people are not willing to hear it. They're not willing to accept it. Because our society is trained to have everything geared towards the man, because it's patriarchal.
That
So if a child comes up, they're not believed. If a woman comes up, they're not believed. I mean, it's to the point where if a man comes up, they'll discourage the man. They will sacrifice other men, women, and children to protect their privilege, you know, and it's sick. Someone was talking about one of the people in Britain who was a huge celebrity who turned out to be a huge pedo and had abused hundreds of children all across Britain. Someone came forward years and years and years and years ago. Came across a car parked in the middle of nowhere. He knocks on the window. The guy's name was Jimmy Seville. Jimmy Seville rolls down the window and says, "What?" He's got a 15-year-old girl in the back seat with him. And he says, "Sir, do you need any help? Why are you stopped here?" And he said, "Young man, this girl here is going to turn 16 in about 45 minutes. You need to get gone or you're going to lose your job." And so he backed off and left. And he went back to his police station and he asked them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, that's Jimmy. You can't do anything or you'll lose your job."
wow.
So if he had gone to the authorities, that like gone above his boss to his boss's boss, or perhaps gone to like Interpol, since this man probably traveled internationally and was doing this internationally, I would be surprised if he weren't. If he had pushed it, perhaps, you know, hundreds of children after that incident wouldn't have been AR'd. But at the very least, when presented in a situation where this girl was plainly going to be AR'd in about 45 minutes, that policeman walked away and left her with a predator. It went back to his boss and said, "Was that okay?" This is the society and the culture. Sandusky. Someone walked into the showers and saw Sandusky doing a thing to a 9-year-old. Did he call the police? No. He left and walked upstairs to the head coach and asked what he should do. And they said, "Don't do anything. We'll take care of it." That's the culture. When someone sees a crime happening to a child or to a woman or even to another man, they don't call the authorities, they call their friends, like Ashton Kutcher. When Ashton Kutcher walked in on what was plainly a crime scene, did he call the police? He called his crew. He called his peeps to help him manage the situation. I mean, I've just listed 3 situations off the top of my head in different countries. You know, it's you know, it's international war on women and children, and you know, and if you're a white guy, all you have to do is say, "I didn't do it," and you're fine.
Mm-hmm. People don't even, especially when it comes to children, don't even want to recognize it because it's so inhumane that they don't want to think about it. They don't even want to think about it because of the situation. And
it's impossible for children to make that stuff up.
Right. And it's like,
just ludicrous to say a child is making that up. A child is incapable of making up something like that unless they're exposed to it.
exactly.
That's the nature of the brain development. I mean,
Right.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that's been going through my head lately. It's like, it doesn't matter if you come forward with receipts, they didn't do it. It doesn't matter if you come forward with corroborating testimony, they didn't do it. It doesn't matter if you come away with, you know, a signed paper where he said he'd pay you almost $250,000 if you'd shut up. Didn't do it. It doesn't matter what you bring to the table. People don't want to admit that essays of everybody vulnerable men, women, and children is an epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
When one person comes forward, you can bet there's 20 more people behind them. Um, if it's something that happened 20 years ago, they didn't stop.
Yeah.
People who
Well,
do that don't stop.
It was just like with me. You know how I was telling you I was sexually assaulted? The one thing I can remember from the guy is he had a big 13 and a half tattooed on his arm. I still remember his name and everything. But we were watching something, it's a TV show or something. I don't remember what it was. But the guy on the show had a 13 on his neck. And I looked for a second, and then finally it showed it again, and I seen the 13 on the neck, and I told my spouse, I was like, change it. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Mhm.
And she was like, okay. I was like, it's like, you don't understand. I was like, babe, I was like, the guy that sexually assaulted me, he had the 13 on him. He was like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, that's fine. I was like, I'm just, I'm telling you, that's what it was. That's
Yeah.
why it's like, I don't want to finish that. Let's go on. Let's watch something else.
Yeah.
And people don't understand even something simple as that. It's just, I mean, that person probably is a good person, had 13 on their neck, but even something simple as that, you don't want to associate because you associate that with your experience.
Yeah, and when sometimes it's a trigger that you didn't even know until it happens. And the thing with triggers is you have to desensitize yourself to them for them to lose their power. And you have to come to terms with the fact that you just uncovered another trigger, and you have to unpack it some before you can start to desensitize. And you can't do it in one sitting while you're watching the movie triggering you. You have to unpack the trauma. It's a bore, but you have to do it. So yeah, it's like, maybe in a couple years you see a 13 tattoo and you go, oh yeah, that. But not until you've processed and done what you need to do to purge
Because that's why
the
it's like,
you know
it's still like if I was to see the man today, I would probably pummel his face in because it's like, no, what you did was wrong, It's and he would still probably to this day to try to defend himself and be like, oh, but I was just playing. But you weren't. You wouldn't have grabbed me
yeah,
hard and left that kind of bruise on my arm if you were just playing.
made you drop plates. He wouldn't have waited until you were in a vulnerable position with your back to him. That is textbook predator. That's what YB would do. That's what Yogi Bhajan would do. He would tell someone to turn around, and then as they were turning, he would grab their chestal regions. Or someone would be like at the sink, and he's one girl, she said she was like 14. He came up behind her as she was doing dishes and pressed her chestal region with his hands so that her back was like pressed against him, and he said he was helping her adjust her posture.
Oh my God.
And she's like, I have to get out of here. And like as soon as she could, she left the house and never came back.
I don't blame her.
And that's how he would see if you would be one of his next nuns. If he could do that to you and you didn't freak out and disappear, he knew he could prey on you. You were groomable. There's story after story after story of that with him. So that is classic predator behavior.
Yeah. And I'm sure some ladies kind of went with it at first just to see, what is this? Is this a test? What is it? I felt uncomfortable about it, but they were kind of just testing the waters and seeing, okay, what is this? And
And if you have a history of abuse, lines like that are going to be very blurry, and you're going to be easier to groom,
to
because
manipulate.
people who've been abused believe that abuse and love exist simultaneously. You have to believe, like, you know, the person who says they love you loves you, and then they hurt you, and then they say they love you. So you learn to believe that love and abuse coexist. And when that happens, you are prime for grooming and being exploited. So sadly, if someone had that kind of trauma history, and Yogi Bhaji does that, some people would be like, "Oh, here too. Okay, it's everywhere." You
Right.
know, some people's response either is fight, flight, or freeze. Right?
Mhm.
Some people just freeze, and then if Yogi Bhajan tries to make an excuse like, "I was adjusting your posture," you know, and they try to give him the benefit of the doubt because they've been told their entire however long they've been in the cult, some born in it, some brought in it, that he's a holy man, he's a guru. So why would he lie?
Right.
You
Why would
know,
he lie to
so
kids?
people who trusted their intuitions were sometimes able to escape. Other people were not, probably because of in both individual factors and how much coercive control he already had over them.
And didn't you say the cult's still going strong today?
Yep,
Do you know
yep.
about numbers?
I do not. It's international. There's
Mm.
a 3HO in America, and within years he had places in Europe as well. Like by 1974, there was a 3HOs in Europe. So there's a 3HO Europe, there's a 3HO International, there's like the 3HO in America. Um, and it's everything from like the yogi tea to teaching, having yoga training, to having a security force, because Sikhs are big into security forces. Like all of these different business arms, all over the place. There's there's an interesting graph on the Freedom of Mind Resource Center on the 3HO organization, where it shows like Yogi Bhajan's spheres of influence and how they overlapped, and it showed how he embedded himself into politics internationally. He embedded himself into religion internationally. He embedded himself into like teaching programs internationally, into security forces internationally, and there's all these overlapping spheres of influence with Yogi Bhajan at the center, and he compartmentalized it so the people over here didn't know what the people over here were doing, or here, or here. Like, it was very not MLM, what am I thinking? It was very like communist, and there were a bunch of people down here, but very few people up here in the know, right? He kept things compartmentalized, and what's it called when you separate and keep things separated? You
Yes.
know,
Cartman. Wait, you just
yeah,
say the
yeah,
word.
and and that way people wouldn't be inclined to put two and two together and realize, oh wait, this is a con, or wait, that's not what he said was happening over here, right? So
Mhm.
he was very smart that way.
Is Yogi Bunjan still alive?
He died in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 16 at the partition. So trying to remember how old they said he was. Like when he was building 3HO, he was in his late 30s, early 40s. Is my impression. I'd have to look at timelines and add, but he, he'd been married and had like and had, were they like middle school age or teenage age children? I mean, he wasn't like some um you know some some young, Jared Leto. He was an older gentleman, so he had gravitas. He was very tall, very broad chested, very powerful physique. He had very piercing eyes, a magnetic personality. It's one of those people where he walked into the room and all the eyes were like drawn to him. So, um, he just had that cult leader glow, you know, and he knew it and he used it.
And when did you leave?
And my mom left with us when I was 2. My brother would be like 3.5, and I was 2.
You didn't grow up in it.
Luckily, no. Him messing with her kids was what got her out. That is often what'll get a woman out, is when they start messing with the kids, and she goes, "Oh, no, bye bye." So but she still had the effects of the cult abuse. The narcissistic abuse, the trauma of being, disbelieved, that she didn't have a part in my my birth dad's death. That was very traumatizing, that people thought she somehow drove him to it and held her responsible for it. She held Yogi Bhajan like a father figure because she'd had an absent father in her childhood. So she'd been betrayed by a father figure. So, I mean, she had the betrayal and trust issues. She had been betrayed, and so had trust issues from the narcissistic abuse and from people she thought who were her friends. Not so much with the friendships. Once she left 3HO, they kind of, like if she came around, they'd say hi, but otherwise, she ended up eventually leaving LA and moving back in with my grandmother in Santa Barbara County, because I think she needed to get out of LA.
I'm sure a lot of them she kind of looked as family as well.
Yes. And really lost track with a lot of them. And then, because she had questions, she did some research on Sikhism, because she knows how to use a public library, and she discovered a lot of the stuff that he said wasn't true. A lot of the stuff that he said about yoga had nothing to do with Sikhism, and she was really confused for a while. And so she sort of deprogrammed herself gradually, to the point where she would be talking to me about 3HO and like people and it's things that happened. It's like she would drop like, "Oh yeah, YB used to say blah 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 blah." Like he would say a bad yoga teacher becomes a cockroach in their next life. He had weird sayings like that she'd pop up. And once she said, "I think he sometimes just made stuff up."
Oh, I'm sure he did.
And once I found out and I looked it up, he made all of it up. He wasn't a practicing Sikh. He wasn't a faithful Sikh. He was culturally Sikh. Like someone culturally Jewish decides to create a Jewish cult.
For the audience, could you tell them what Sikh means?
Yes. Sikh is it's like the 4th largest religion in the world, but it's practically no one knows about it. It's crazy. It started in the former Punjab region of what is now Pakistan. It's a religion of gurus, where gurus were considered to have an elevated understanding of how to achieve a peaceful coexistence. And they created a series of tomes. There's 10 gurus, and the religion is centered around equality and and I'm blanking on some stuff, but in the Sikh religion, men and women are considered equal. Doesn't mean that it happens in real life, because there's still the tribal mindset in some people. But theoretically, the guru said men and women are equal, so that is why Sikh women have the last name Kaur and Sikh men have the last name Singh. And they don't take each other's names when they get married, because the women don't belong to anybody but themselves, and the men don't own them if they're a dad or a husband, etc. So there's a lot of Sikhs in India. There's enough Sikhs in India for it to cause a problem. There's a big tension between Sikhs in India and the Indian government, because the Sikhs kind of want their own, like the Muslims got their own Pakistan. The Sikhs kind of want their own Sikhistan, and India's like, nah, not gonna keep carving ourselves up smaller and smaller. We don't wanna, and it's caused a lot of problems. So there was a Sikh assassination just this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the news. Someone assassinated in relation to the current tension with India.
And isn't Sikhs the ones that also they believe with the whole mind, body, spirit, and earth, right?
That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've done a deep dive, and with my trauma brain, if I haven't reviewed it, the details will go away, and it's hard for me to recall. But it's a family-based religion, like a householder religion, and it's based around families. They have communal meals. So that everyone gets the same amount of food. The family goes hungry. It's very community and communal based, and they have a militant tradition of self-defense. So even the children will carry ceremonial swords. They're just little wooden swords. They don't have a sharp edge, but they're painted gold, and so even the children will have the swords on them. It's one of the reasons why Sikhs are used in security. They're trained in self-defense and swords and stuff.
Isn't it kind of like that one called the Ashban? What I'm talking about?
Like Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh?
Yes.
Oh, Yogi hated him. Yogi hated other cult leaders and bashed them as much as he could. But he did the similar thing. He came over, said he was a yoga teacher, taught a meditation that's kind of bad for you, the transcendental meditation, and moved up to Oregon and did some crazy crap that made him have to go back to India. But
that cult did like some real bad stuff. They food poisoned a whole town, and
they tried to poison an entire town. They tried to poison the water supply.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was off the rails because drugs were involved, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was more of like a hippie type cult.
Yeah. Mom insisted that the 3HO might have been ex-hippies, but it wasn't a hippie thing. There were no drugs in 3HO, period. They were not allowed. Um, that was part of the appeal of it to her personally. She'd basically spent from the age of 16 to the age of 18 as high as she possibly could, as often as she possibly could. And she was kind of looking for a way to clean up her act. So the no drugs was very appealing to her. And she insisted that, once she started doing yoga, she wasn't a hippie anymore. She was not doing drugs. She was doing the clean lifestyle. And she went totally into the, granola 70s health food carob chips instead of chocolate chips nonsense. She really went deep into clean living.
Yeah, I know, because I haven't heard of the 3HO, but I had heard of the Ashkelon, or how you say his group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I watched a documentary over that one.
Yeah, he kind of he was another cult leader that got caught up in his own crap, and I think him staying high most of the time probably led to his cult not going anywhere and doing much.
And they took in a lot of homeless there too for a while just to bring in members.
Well, you make yourself sound like a paradise to vulnerable people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a winning combination.
Right.
I mean, homeless people are extraordinarily vulnerable. They haven't slept well. They haven't eaten well. Many of them have, if they didn't have a severe trauma history before becoming homeless, they will have after having been homeless for a while. So they're extremely vulnerable to that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
They're very vulnerable to serial predators. They know no one comes looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. And it's another argument for not having any.
Yeah, I know once Sheila too, his secondhand person, once she took over, like a lot of stuff started happening too, because she was more cognitive.
Mm-hmm.
Peter was, because he was getting older.
Yeah.
And so since she was more cognitive and could actually think, it started getting worse. And there's so many cults out there. It's so crazy. I've
Well, even individual families can become cults. Someone was being interviewed by Shalisa and Sola on Cults to Consciousness, where his family was a cult and child trafficked all of the children for free slave labor.
I don't doubt it.
Like an extended family, like the what's that church? Westboro Baptist Church. That's an extended family in a church cult. It's
Westboro Baptist Church is horrible.
Yeah, it was started by a guy. He was the paternal figure of the family and the preacher, and it was his family church cult, and it was gross.
Yeah, that's nothing but a white Semitic, racist, bigoted church right there. I mean, that's horrible.
I've listened to a few people who are members of the family who've come out of it, and they said in his later years he started to go senile, and they had to sequester him away because he started saying there's nothing wrong with gay people.
I believe it. It.
They had to hide him away because he would start saying compassionate stuff to people, and they wouldn't know what. That's not our shtick. So they had to reinforce. They're self-reinforcing. You know, the leader who started everything. They just shuffled him away. I mean, this is Cult 101, people. This is Cult 101, folks. Cult 101.
Yes, I believe it because that's how they work. I mean, that is because anywhere down here, like in Texas, everybody knows Westboro Baptist Church as like being very racist and backwoods.
Well, they're attacking the funerals of veterans has made them extraordinarily unpopular.
Yeah.
That was a big what WTF on my part. It's like that wasn't even a hill before you decided to die on it. You made the hill and then died on it. You know, well, you know,
the best part to me, like the best video out there, is when they got rickrolled.
Oh God, yeah.
I could watch that video all day long. Is when they got rickrolled by, what's the band? I can't even think of it right now. Y'all, come on, help me out in the chat. I know y'all know who I'm talking about. But when they got rickrolled,
I think I just saw that. What band? It wasn't Jimmy Kimmel's band, was it?
It was a metal band. I want to say it was Foo Fighters. Probably got it.
Oh, Foo Fighters. That's right. I just saw like a clip of that a couple days ago. Yeah, the Foo Fighters went up and started singing a darn amount. Oh my gosh, you've heard of the Proud Boys and and there's something in Vancouver, Washington called the Patriot Prayer. No, what are they called? Prayer Patriots. There are local version of the Proud Boy. I think Patriot Prayer, something, I don't know. They come down regularly to protest LGBTQ events in the Portland area. And just regular events in the Portland area. The regular Rose Parade, which is just a parade that people do. They have floats. They dress up. There's a Junior Rose Parade where all of the kids from local schools get together and they do a Junior Rose Parade. And then there's a regular. They have a Starlight Rose Parade. It's part of the whole Rose Festival. It's completely innocuous and has nothing to do with anything gay at all. You know. And they decided they were going to come protest the Portland Rose Festival Parade just because it was in Portland and Portland is gay friendly. So this is a family parade with families. And they set up on where the parade comes through with a big megaphone. And they're screaming in the crowds. The judges can't hear over them. They set themselves, you know, just down from the judges' booth. Okay, the judges can't hear the bands and their performances to judge. They're being so loud, and no one's doing anything because the Portland police protect the Proud Boys and the Patriot Prayer Bunch. We have multiple news coverages of this, and so the Portland Unipiper, which is this absolutely fabulous man who knew how to play the bagpipes and wanted to play them on a unicycle because reasons. So he practiced until he got it mastered, and now he dresses in costume and he plays the bagpipes while riding a unicycle, and we call him the Unipiper. One of his big things is dressing up in a Darth Vader outfit, and his bagpipe has flames coming out of it. It's a whole thing. when he was there at the parade, because it's a parade in Portland, the Unipiper's going to fucking be there. Man, this is his jam, okay? He goes up to these guys, and he's not even on his unicycle. He's just walking, blaring like Amazing Grace on the bagpipes so loud no one can hear Patriot Prayer anymore. It was awesome. And then at one point he kind of got through Amazing Grace. They were still going. He was so mad he just started going, hey, hey. He wasn't even pretending to play music anymore. He just started honking at them, and everyone's like, Piper, Piper. I mean, he was already a Portland legend, and now he's a Portland legend. So I need to email him and tell him next time that happens, play Never Gonna Give You Up and Rickroll them.
Yes.
That would be great. There's a video of it online. I should send it to you. It's great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good evening. We have a LGBT thing here every year too, and the year before last, like the street preachers and stuff were really bad. And this year, I was really geared up. I was like, I'm gonna go after him this year. Like, I was really gonna just go all out and just give him what I thought.
Hi, baby.
Like, nope.
Hi, baby.
You gotta be good. You gotta be good. And I was kind of actually sad this year. There was only like 3 there. I was like, that kind of saddens me. There was not really a whole lot there.
Mm-hmm.
And but on the same aspect, I mean, it was great to not have them there and not have them bring down the ambiance of everything. So that was great on the same hand of everything.
Yeah, there was oh, sorry. Hey, Frank, the dog. The dog was trying to get my attention. He wants to be taken for a W. Thank you. So Frank's getting him. Oh.
Hello to everybody in chat.
I need to figure out how to do this on the laptop so I can see the chat as well and participate in the chat.
Yeah, I've got my new mic. I got my new earbuds, and now I'm just waiting on my webcam because I got the laptop. My spouse got the new laptop in, so now I'm using the old one. It's the better laptop than what I was using. So I've got my new but old laptop that I'm using. So now all I'm waiting on is the new webcam. So once I get that, I'll be rolling good. Because as you can tell, this laptop webcam is not that great.
So I'm going to try my, if I can find the screw thingy. Here it is. I was going to try my fisheye lens. Oh, I don't know. It's fogging up now. I was going to try my fisheye lens and see if that helped with the camera. So I've done it while I was taking a video, but I haven't tried it while I'm up doing anything live. Let me see, where is it? It's right there. And you have to get this right over it. Nope, it's too fogged up. I'll have to wait for it to get unfogged. It's really damp because I'm right at the coast. I can hear the ocean from where I'm sitting. It is so great.
Yeah, I would like to be by the ocean.
Oh, it's amazing. The first day I went out, it was really misty, so I got these really misty pictures. The dunes look like the Scottish moors. They look amazing in the mist. And then the next day I went, it was really sunny, so I've got like misty, beach ocean pictures and the sunny beach ocean pictures. And I really want to get a gimbal so I can do a walk through the dunes. The dunes are beautiful.
I
But
live good old Texas town, so yeah, there's nothing that pretty.
the some of my favorite places in Missouri were around water. I loved the rivers. I loved the lakes. Sometimes the creeks would have little, like 2-foot waterfalls. But if it's not mountains or water, um, it doesn't really it doesn't make my soul sing. You know, trees, mountains, water. You don't get trees without water. So
There's nothing dry.
luckily, luckily in America, there's rivers pretty much everywhere,
Oh
unless
yeah.
you're in the desert. So
Come on, animals. What?
you got some fluffy tails wagging in there. Who's this little fluffy jelly bean?
I've got DC right here, and then a little bit is right here as well.
Oh, how sweet. Precious little one.
They're both jealous of each other.
Oh, yes, they're children. If you have to pet one, if you pet the other.
And now I've
They're
got the old lady beside me.
yes, they're jealous babies.
They are. I've been locked up in the office all day for work, and with me going through training right now, and especially I knew with nesting, I knew the manager I had today for nesting. He has to have us up on camera. So I knew I couldn't have my pets in the office because we had to be on camera. So I was like, nope, you have to be out of the office today. And so they
plainly don't appreciate it.
No.
And they are ready to let you know that's not happening anymore.
Yes.
I love he just walked up on your shoulders and laid down. That is awesome.
That's his
they love you. Look at that. Look how much they love you.
Yeah, I know my spouse, they don't even do this with. They all me.
This is not a Maltese, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a Maltese. I love Maltese. Hey, baby. Oh. No, I'm tearing because he's got his little head down. He's about to fall asleep back there. Oh, that is too precious. My college roommate's father was allergic to pet dander, so they had a Maltese because they're anti-allergenic dogs. And I absolutely fell in love with their family pet. His name was Bojangles, and he was large for a Maltese. He was like 12 pounds, and which is ridiculous because that was the size of my cat. But I fell in love with this dog. I loved him so much, and I can't even tell why, except that he just had the sweetest soul. And when he looked at you, you could see the purity in his eyes. He was just a pure soul, and he was so sweet. And everyone was a friend he hadn't met yet. I adored this dog, and I've just adored Malteses ever since. They all look like Bobo to me, and I want to stick my face in their fur and go, no, 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 no.
This one is rotten. He has PTSD and separation.
Oh, poor baby. Is that a kitty cat?
Yes, I have two cats.
I saw two cat tails. I knew it. So one over here and one over there.
Yes. The girl,
poor baby.
The old lady's right here beside me. She's to the left, right down here, laying down. And then I have a little bit wanting attention.
Yeah.
DC, and then I have a big dog probably laying by the front door.
He's figured out how to get you, but stay out of the way of the cats. He's smart.
Oh, you're gonna lay on little Brat now?
What was the cat like attacked by other cats or?
No, the two I've got, I actually, um, they were rescued because, um, my spouse's best friend, her mom and stepdad, I was watching their animals when her mother passed away. And then that's when we lived back in Waxahachie. And then we moved up here and bought this house. And I wasn't able to watch the animals anymore. And then her stepdad passed away. And when he passed away, there was nobody to take the cats. To find rescues for the dogs, but the cats she was having trouble finding a place for. So I was like, I'll at least take two of the cats. I wasn't on it, but they at least knew me. So I took the two girls. So here I am now, 2 dogs and 2 and a stray cat that I feed as well, because she comes up and she actually lets me feed her and pet her, and I named her Sadie.
Yeah, there's a guy I follow online who started feeding a feral cat and then made a little place next to the fence of the apartment building for the feral cat to safely sleep. And so they have a little and so they have this little line where they take food, they put food on the plate, and they take the line so it goes to the feral cat, so no one's near the feral cat and isn't freaking him out, and he gets fed. It is the sweetest thing. I mean, I dare you to watch this and not cry about how this guy makes a home and and figures out how to feed a feral cat without stressing it out.
That's awesome.
It gives you faith in humanity. It's like there's more people like that than not. So I need to remind myself of that from time to time. But people who rescue animals are the best kind of people, because how you treat someone who can do nothing for you in return says a lot about you.
All my animals are rescues.
Yep, ditto. Our doggy was in a domestic violence situation. One of the woman finally divorced him, and her living situation wasn't stable. She kept apartment hopping with friends, and he's a Great Dane mix. He's large. He wouldn't get along with her friends' dogs, so we took him in. So we have to be mindful. He's a rescue, and he was raised in a domestic violence situation because he reacts oddly to people sometimes, and we'll just explain he's a rescue. But since he's so big and a rescue, I have to stay really alert when we're out and about. Which our other dog was very badly socialized in a rescue, and we couldn't let him anywhere near other dogs, so I'm kind of used to it. Apparently, it tend to take in like high demand dogs with high demand personality. His breed is a Great Dane Dojo Argentino mix, and Dojo Argentinos are like really smart. They're not for the novice dog owner. They're highly social. They require constant interaction, so they're really smart. So they're easily bored. It actually, if you go look up the breed information, it'll say not for the novice dog owner. Don't start out with one. It will drive you insane if you're not used to it. It's like having a toddler. We say that all the time. It's like having a toddler. He's that smart. He's as smart as a 4-year-old. At least.
He's a Akita Pit Bull mix.
Oh my gosh, Akitas are so smart. Wow.
Yeah, but he's old man now. He's happy just
Well, Akitas are watchdogs. They like to lay and watch.
He he'll sit
They're very
outside.
chill. Yep, they're very chill. They watch and observe and observe and watch.
He loves to sit outside in the sun, and he
Mhm.
has glaucoma, and the
Mhm.
vet tried to tell me to keep him out of the sun, and I was
Mm.
like, "Are you insane?"
That's
I
his
was
one
like,
pleasure.
"Yeah." I was like, "I'd rather my dog go blind and sit in the sun than to
Mm.
have the house locked up all day."
Well, how about I just put a bandana around his head and let him lay in the sun? You know?
I was like, "I'm not taking my dog's one vice that he loves away from him." I was like, "No."
No,
It's like, "You're stupid."
no. You might as well just put him down.
Right. I was like, "No."
You know.
I mean, if and when the time comes and he goes blind, then we'll deal with that then. I was like, right now,
Yeah.
he's happy, he's fine. I'm letting him be.
And a lot of animals go blind and are able to live in a house with people successfully. So as long as, but for us, when our cat went blind and started to go senile, we had like a list of things. When she can no longer get up and down the stairs, when she can no longer control her body functions, or if she starts to look and sound like she's in pain. Like that was our criteria when she started getting senile. As long as she seemed happy, we let her do her senile thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when she started falling down the stairs, and when she started having a lot of pain, we knew that's
Right.
that's two out of our three items, and it was like the hardest thing my husband's ever had to do because she was his particular kitty. She adored him,
Right.
but that's part of the responsibility is you remove them from nature. Nature would have culled them by now, so you have to do the culling. That's just how it is with domesticated animals. You know, and it sucks. But if it weren't for those things, I mean, he could carry her around in his arm for half the day and she'd be perfectly happy. So, but when she tried to walk, her arthritis was really bad and she'd fall down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So at Charlie,
and
I mean,
yeah,
he's doing great right now, and I think he has some like benign like tumors, but it's not growing. It's not doing anything, so I'm not even worried about it because the doctor checked him last time and they said it
mhm.
ain't growing.
Yeah, that's what they say. I know someone who had some rats with benign tumors. They just grow them because of all of the lab breeding, right? They're bred to have tumors so they can experiment on them. So pet rats will develop giant benign tumors just because they're from that domestic breeding program, right? And the vets will say unless it's like getting sliced up or something, just leave it alone. I mean, and we're talking things like this big hanging off of a rat that's only like 5 inches long. It looks terrible, but it's the best thing is just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I have one right here on my stomach that I've had
Fun.
since I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But even my own doctor was like, it's like a calcium buildup, basically. And he was like, unless it grows, you're fine.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, okay, I do nothing. I'll sit here and play with it.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's not grown in size. It's not moved. It's not done anything. And I'm like, okay.
excuse me. I'm starting to yawn. I think it's time for me to um start winding down.
Yeah, it's already 10:19 here.
And the wind is picking up, so it's getting a little cold out here too. All right. Well, it's been fun chatting with you.
Definitely.
Oh,
Well, you go inside and warm up. You have a great night. It definitely was
Thanks.
fun talking.
All right.
Sometime.
Yes, we'll have to make another appointment.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Anhata. You have a great night.
Good night.
That was an awesome talk. Good, yep. Oh. Alrighty, y'all. Definitely was an awesome talk with Miss Anhata. And we will have to do another live here soon. I guess I will catch everybody later on. It was nice having everybody here. I thank everybody for stopping by. And y'all all have a good night and sleep well. Thank you.